Well, good evening, everyone. If you want to go ahead and share this with your family and friends for South Carolina, we're going to be streaming this on our WLTX News 19 Facebook page, as well as on our YouTube channel for WLTX News 19 and our WLTX.com website. We're giving an update now on the latest information on the weather that we're expecting for this coming weekend, even though this is pretty much significantly far away from us at this time. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afante, and this is what we have as this moment. The National Weather Service in Columbia has issued a winter storm watch for Newberry, Fairfield, and Kershaw counties for now. And it's not for right now, it's for Saturday overnight into Sunday overnight. So basically Saturday midnight to maybe very, very early Monday morning. Although it only covers those three counties, there is a possibility we may have additional watches issued for the central portions of our Midland communities, basically from Saluda along the Columbia Highway through Sunset Boulevard in Lexington County, across Sumter Highway going through Richland and Sumter counties as well. That's yet to be determined. But again, these are the watches that will be in effect, not now, they'll be in effect Saturday night into Sunday night. One crucial issue that they're talking about is the possibility of ice. Now, this could be either freezing rain, contact in which it freezes on the ground or whatever it makes contact with, as well as sleet or falling graupel, or basically little pieces of ice. The greatest risk right now is, at least by this model, and this is our in-house model. Keep in mind that over the last several days we've been showing the European model as well as the American model. Now we're showing you the in-house model. There's a possibility that more or less about 1/10 of an inch of ice could accumulate in areas from Saluda, Newberry, and Fairfield County. And keep in mind that when we're talking about freezing rain, the ground temperature may be above freezing, and it is right now. However, if the temperatures are sustained below freezing, whatever this contact, it'll first get wet and then freeze. So we're talking about anything above the ground, trees, roofs, power lines. So something to take in consideration of. That's for the ice. The other thing we're looking at is the amount of rainfall. Now, this computer model is indicating the total amount of liquid precipitation, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, or anything in between. This computer model is indicating that overall, most of the Midlands will receive up to, if not slightly over, an inch of rainfall between Saturday night and Sunday night. I'm not too convinced with this model guidance because the forecast models from the Weather Prediction Center are indicating a far higher two-day total. Along and east of I-95, 2 inches. Along I-95, about 2.5 inches. On the south side corridor of I-20, about 3 inches. And then north of I-20 could be 4, maybe even 5. This may be overdone, but I am expecting that the total amount of precipitable water, whatever comes down is, could at least be 2 inches when it's finally done. Now, the one key thing about the water, or whatever the precipitation is that comes down, is going to be the actual air temperature. This model is indicating by 2 o'clock in the morning, most of the temperatures in the central and northern Midlands, so the northern 2/3 of our Midland communities, will already be at some point below freezing. And if this model verifies, those temperatures will stay below freezing at least 8 hours. So if that's the case, then we can be talking about ice or sleet coming down, as well as freezing rain. Again, that's going to be the component, and it is going to be windy. So this is the air temperature. We could be looking at wind chill temperatures Sunday morning, mid-morning. We could be looking at wind chills very likely into the upper teens and low 20s. Now, this is what we're expecting as far as what precipitation is going to come down. Saturday, don't worry about it. Just make your plans Saturday. It's just going to be mostly cloudy, if not completely overcast. As we get close to midnight, that's when the precipitation comes in. Very likely, most of the precipitation is going to be coming down in the form of rain, and we could have a wintry mix in portions of Saluda, Newberry, and Fairfield counties. It's not until mid-morning, this is when we're all asleep, when most of the precipitation may, and I stress this, may turn into a wintry mix of either freezing rain, sleet, or ice. At this point right now, if the temperatures hold below freezing, again, between 2 and 10 is what we're thinking, is that will continue all throughout our Midland communities. It'll be a mix. It won't be until mid-morning when the temperatures start warming up. It's still going to be raining, and raining pretty good. And as that rain continues and the temperature starts to rise, it'll transition over into rain before it ends. Now, let's look at the impact timing. As far as everything that's going to be well away from the low country, they have a minimal risk. But for us here in the Midlands, the low risk gets increased when you get into the areas of Clarendon, extreme southern Calhoun, and then central and eastern portions of Orangeburg County. Again, this is going to be between Saturday midnight and Sunday midnight. The risk gets higher when we get into the slight risk category that includes Sumter, Lee, portions of Lower Richland, and most of Lexington and County, as well as the southern or most of Saluda and Aiken counties. The risk goes up, and again, this is the overall risk impact, in which we could be looking at a moderate risk for winter precipitation, or the best risk in the Midlands for the wintry mix. In this area here, the National Weather Service that has the winter weather watch, has indicated that areas in Newberry, Fairfield, Kershaw counties, and areas that are close to the county line could experience up to 2 inches of snow and possibly 1/10 to a 1/4 inch of ice. That's before everything starts warming up and then turns all into rain into Sunday afternoon. But this is the risk we're looking at. Now let's look at the overall picture when it comes to the entire state. Again, the entire state is under the winter storm watch from Saturday late night to Sunday late night. Winter storm watches has covered all of the upstate and then a good portion of the PD. The snow forecast at this point right now looks like that the heaviest concentration of snow, and I'm going to have to back that up a little. The heaviest concentration of snow is going to be very likely in the areas, I'm going to have to back up here, right about there's where I need to end it. This is going to be the highest value that we're going to be looking at snow, which is going to be pretty much most of the upstate. Now the ice is a whole different ball of wax, because all indications right now from the models look like the ice chance, and give me 1 second here while I fix this, that the ice chance is going to be prevalent in most of the state. Now, how much ice that we're talking? Well, that entirely is dependent on how much of the cold air moves in. So in this model, it's indicating that the ice possibility is covering a good portion of South Carolina. The best concentration of whatever ice may be would be in the central, northern Midlands, and then exceeding into the PD, and at least portions, extreme eastern portions of the upstate. So keep that in mind. The other thing that we're taking a look at is the amount of ice that's a possibility. That ice likelihood is going to be widespread, and it depends on how much. Some of these models are indicating maybe over half an inch. I think that's a little exaggerated, but there could be a possibility of a 1/4 inch of ice accumulation in many areas of the PD, eastern upstate, and then the northern, maybe central portions of the Midlands. Notice that there's really nothing going on when it comes to the southern portions of the coastline of South Carolina. From the PD, from the Grand Strand all the way down to the low country and inland, we're not looking at really much of an impact. Snow, again, possibility that it's going to stay in the northern portions of the upstate. But again, the rainfall amount, how much total rainfall? Again, we could be looking at, especially in the areas north of I-20 all the way up to the upstate, 4, maybe 5 inches of rainfall. Again, that may be exaggerated, but it's definitely going to be more than 2 to 3 for sure, at least based on the model guidance that we're looking now. As far as the timing, again, Saturday, just a lot of cloud coverage. The snow starts in the upstate, and this is at midnight Sunday, midnight on Saturday. So you got a lot of snow, mixed precipitation in the northern bands of the northern Midlands, But then as we get into the next few hours later, still a lot of snow in the upstate, and it's going to stay as snow, while the transition from the PD and the Midlands all the way down to the central Savannah River area is very likely going to be a mixed bag of heavy rain, maybe mixed with a little bit of freezing rain or sleet, and that's going to continue until we start warming up. Now, granted, there's a very low impact when it comes to the coastline of South Carolina, but it is going to rain like crazy. And that's the one thing that you can assure. The whole state is going to get the rainfall. And as we start warming up and as it starts lifting north, and let me stop that back there, that's where all of this will start moving off. And then not only will it start dissipating and moving out, but we'll still have the activity going on in the portions of the upstate. Now, the impacts for the entire state, again, a minimal risk when we're talking about the entire coastline of South Carolina. The risk goes up when we talk about the areas along I-20 and I-95 rather to the east of it. So all the way up from, say, Marion County straight down into Barnwell. The slight risk then covers the areas to the south of Interstate 20, so all the way up from Florence and Darlington through the eastern and southern Midlands and to the areas right around Aiken and Edgewood County. The moderate and highest risk that we're going to be looking at, again, is going to be the northern portions of the Midlands, a good chunk of the northern PD, and the eastern southern portions of the upstate. The northern upstate is going to be the highest risk for very likely nothing but snow, possibly mixed with ice or sleet. So the things that we are going to be watching very carefully. Now, our digital producer is here checking on the comments that you are asking, because I know a lot of people have been asking questions. So Tony, what do we have people asking at this point?
Well, we've already had some people asking about any risks for maybe driving in black ice both Sunday and potentially into Monday.
Okay, that's a good question. And let me go ahead and get to the overall graphic of where everything's going to be. Now, keep in mind that at this point here, at say about 10 o'clock, actually, let me switch over to the state so see a better view of what we're looking at, because I've been asked a lot of questions from a lot of people who may be doing some traveling outside of the Midlands. So here's really the bottom line. As far as travel impacts along and coastal inland, from the Grand Strand all the way down to the Low Country, you're looking at heavy rainfall, really cold rainfall, but heavy rainfall, and that's pretty much it. Everything from I-95 and all points west and north. So pretty much everything from the Midlands to the PD to the central Savannah River area and all the way up to the upstate, traveling is going to be hazardous. And the most hazardous areas where the traveling is going to be likely is going to be in the areas where it's been mentioned already that there is a moderate risk for weather impacts. So the northern Midlands and all of the upstate and most of the PD, travel conditions are going to be risky. We're talking about the possibility of the roads getting slick and hazardous, or especially in the upstate where there's going to be enough accumulating snow. The snowfall totals right now in the upstate are really iffy. At best, they're looking at maybe in the tune of varying from 6 to 9 inches of snow, but again, that's going to change. Tony?
Yeah, one of the things somebody just asked was, could these models and could what we're forecasting change between now and Sunday?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't show the European or the American model for one reason. We've shown that a lot of times, and they've been changing. That's why we're using the in-house model to indicate what the possibility is of the type of precipitation and the timing. But the one thing is that these models have been changing. So is there a possibility of ice? Yes. Is there a possibility of a lot of rainfall? Well, that is also a possibility. But the key thing is this: the models on the temperatures have been the biggest thing that has been consistently going down by little bits and pieces over the last 3 days. Originally, the temperatures that I was forecasting for Sunday morning was around 32, 34 degrees. But every day we've been kicking it down, and now we're looking at temperatures that, if these temperatures do sustain below freezing, and this is an 8-hour time frame, so if this does occur between 2 a.m. all the way out to 10 a.m., then you're talking the likelihood that we're going to be seeing freezing rain, sleet, ice, But no doubt, as windy as it's going to be, the contact rain to freeze is going to be very likely. So just a quick example. I got a willow tree out in front of my house. Willow trees are little switches. There's nothing. There's no leaves on it. It's going to get wet. If the wind blows strong enough, that rain's going to freeze. And now I'm going to have a treesicle. That's going to be the same thing when it comes on the roads. Now, SCDOT has already been out preparing all throughout the state, in which they're preparing brine on the bridges and overpasses. The salt and sand trucks are ready to go. But that's the key thing. They need to go out there to clear the roads if it's going to be that bad. If it does look that bad on your driveway, don't even bother going out.
Some folks are asking about the travel problems and also potential for power outages.
Okay, that is a really good question, because again, the let me see if I can find this graphic. One thing that we did indicate was that there was a risk of whatever's going to come down. As an example, the Weather Service issued this winter storm watch for the Northern Midlands and then the rest of the upstate and the PD. At this time, those areas are expected the possibility of 2 inches of snow and a 1/10 to a 1/4 inch of ice. That's important to know, because for the most of South Carolina, this is going to be a rain and an ice impact event. The far northern upstate is the ones that we're expecting, where there's going to be more of an impact when it comes to the snow. But the impacts, again, and let's focus on the Midlands first. The impact that we're looking at, the likelihood that Clarendon and central eastern Orangeburg County may get a little bit of freezing rain. It'll be cold, but it's a very low risk. It is an uptick in risk when it comes to pretty much I-95, all the way up from eastern Sumter County and then Lee County all the way down to western Orangeburg and Aiken. This is where we have a better chance of possibly freezing rain or slick roads or power outages. It upticks when you get into the northern Midlands, where for the Midland communities, even though it's a moderate risk, that's where we're looking at the possibility, the likelihood that if the temperatures do drop below freezing, that we're looking at accumulating ice on pretty much anything. Now, again, we're going to be continuing this update. The National Weather Service at this point is going to continue the risk, the winter storm watch for the upstate, and then of course for portions of the Midlands. At the time right now, there's winter storm warnings all up and down from the northern plains into Iowa. The complex is still stuck in Canada, even hasn't come down yet. But the timing is, if this is what it's going to be now, by tomorrow it's going to be in the Midwest, and then by Saturday night it's going to be into the Carolinas. We'll have more of an update on News 19 at 11. We'll have this on our website, we'll have this on Facebook, as well as on YouTube, so it'll be recorded. If you haven't gotten a chance to tell your friends or family, tell them they can log on that on now, and we'll see you tonight on News 19 at 11. Have a good night.